Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nuganomics with David Tulis.
What are artists like when they're not fulfilled? What are artists like when they can't get their work, their product to their customer, the customer who has made a purchase by credit card through the artist's website? Well, fulfillment is something that Mark Lakey and his wife Leslie and a couple of non-family folks who are full-time workers at the Art Warehouse do. That is what this couple does at the Art Warehouse on Brainerd Road, just on near the entrance of the Brainerd Tunnel, coming through Missionary Ridge. And the goal is, as Mark Lakey will explain to us, art fulfillment with at the same time being open to the public. So you have a kind of a technical service to artists in the commercial world, and at the same time in the same business, in the same great open space, lined with photographs and paintings, you have display of artists' work here in the Chattanooga area. Mark, welcome to our show.
Thank you, David. It's nice to be here.
Well, tell about art fulfillment. How is an artist? What is an artist like when he's not fulfilled, Mark?
Well, an artist comes to us primarily to help him in his business, because an artist generally can't afford all the infrastructure that we contain in our building. So it's they get a full service helper and workforce, and they only have to pay for it as they need it. So we're typically there for the artist and photographer to empower them and give them the tools they need to be successful.
Well, how do they need to be empowered by you?
Well, typically an artist is a creative, and so they're not technical, and they need technical help, whether it's in the manufacture of the reproduction of their work, or it's in the production of a website that contains the store, so that they can sell copies of their work and or the originals. So we provide that technical service that most artists don't either have the time or expertise to grow. So
there are two parts to Art Warehouse here in Chattanooga. One is very physical things with frames and colors and canvas and paper and printers. You have printers in your warehouse. And then the other part is just digital. So are some of your crew devoted just to web management and web design?
Yes, my brother Mitchell, the inside family joke is that I'm the dreamer and he's the doer. He's the gearhead that actually makes my dreams come true. So, in every successful business, there's a myriad of people who can make an idea come to fruition. And Mitchell is my right-hand man. He helps me take my vision and implements it in a working environment. And most of the time, it's a technical one, which is, yes, the digital world, which is the capture of the artwork, the management of it, the storage of it, the display of it in a web environment. So, yeah, Mitchell handles pretty much all of that.
Well, talk a little bit about how an artist's image, which is, let's say, arrives to you on a thumb drive. Mm-hmm. What happens? What is the artist? What are his problems? What does he need to have done? Let's say he has a website. Let's say he's someone in a town, let's say halfway between here and Atlanta, okay, a rural town. He's an artist, or let's say she's an artist, and she's sent to you digitally in some fashion an image. What do you do with that image? How far do you manipulate it or improve it? Do you just store it? How is it put to use for the public and for the service of the artist?
Well, our service starts with a general consultation for that first meeting with the artist to determine what their goals are, what their vision is. In other words, do they want print sales? Is it something that they view nationally, commercially, locally? And then based on that interview that I have with that artist, we'll take that digital file and make copies depending on how many he or she thinks they need. Or
you mean printed copies, hard copies?
That's correct. And or implementation of that digital file in preparation for the web. So think of an image file as there's two different versions. One you use in a production environment, and the other version is one that you display on the web. Those are two separate digital images.
What is the difference in the sizes?
Dramatic. Like, for example, at Art Warehouse, we do that digitization, and the camera we use is about a $45,000 camera that shoots at an equivalency rate of 384 megapixel, which is your standard professional camera is about 20 megapixel. So that gives you some clue as to how large the file.
Say that again.
An average professional photographer's camera is around 20 megapixel, upwards of 40.
And that refers to the depth of the dot pattern in a square inch, or what is that? What is the 20 megapixels per square millimeter, or what?
Yes, you're exactly right. Without getting too technical, yes, it's pixels per inch. And so what you're looking at with our technology is you basically get the best rendering possible. So whether it's a print display or a print of the image or a web display, you're getting truly museum quality.
So an image on the artist website might be 900 kilobytes or megabyte. The same image, though, when it goes through the big camera, that's what, hundreds of megabytes, or how big a file would that be?
Yes, generally about 300 megs all the way up to over a gigabyte per image.
Now, when the artist has their image made, does she have, this artist in that little town between Chattanooga and Atlanta? What does she want with it? Does she want you to deliver copies to her that she's going to put up in a display? Of course, she decides on the size, right? She decides on frames. Do you help her with the frames as well? How do you help her out further?
Yes, we can. Like I said, we're fulfillment. So if, let's say, for example, she has a show in a gallery and she wants to have some bagged prints for sale and she wants to frame her original, we can handle all of that. I generally want to know what her goals are so that I can help her achieve those goals. So let's say, for example, she wants for us to create a full-blown website for her that has a purchasing option, a store embedded into it, and then Art Warehouse can then take that order from the online store and fulfill it for her. She truthfully never has to even see the reproduction. We get the order in-house, we manufacture it, we package it, we ship it to the end customer, white label.
So you then get revenue from her work. You take your commission, and she gets a check every month. Is that how that works?
That's exactly right.
Well, I'm very interested in what you're saying, Mark Lakey of Art Warehouse, because I have two artists in my family. My daughter, who's 23, is a sculptress, and my brother, a struggling artist, Thomas Tulis in Atlanta, very much I think would benefit from the kind of services you provide. All right, so you're kind of a tiny Amazon in the art world. That is a fair characterization? Well,
it's the easiest characterization I can come up with from the standpoint of we provide all the services needed to make an artist and or photographer as successful as they can.
Now, are you an artist too, or how did you get into this field, Mark?
I grew up as a photographer in school. I photographed, all through high school, was editor of the yearbook. And so, yes, I grew up in a dark room with smelly fingers and learned photography as a craft. And I've been blessed to work with much smarter and much more talented people than myself. And I use that experience. But, truthfully, I'm as concerned about helping an artist be successful as I am about knowing how to use my talents. It's really the implementation of my services that make me more excited about helping them grow their talent.
Are you ever sought for artistically by artists, Mark, or is it all just technical? And do you have a yearning somehow to be more creative in what you do at Art Warehouse?
That's a good question. No, generally, yes. I mean, from a creative standpoint, they want my advice. They want a fellow artist's opinion, and I give them my opinion. And my opinion is based from a creative side, yes, that I quell probably more than I should, but yes, I want to help.
Now, your wife Leslie also works at Art Warehouse along with your brother Mitchell, the man who makes everything happen technically. Now, Leslie, does she handle the retail and you do the commercial, or is it the other way around? How do you allocate the work with all these artists from around the South?
Leslie primarily handles, yes, the retail public, and tries to keep me as buffered as I can be, because yes, I do handle more of the commercial accounts, but David, as well as anyone in small business knows, we all wear all hats. And, from one moment I can be handling a major corporate account in Nashville or Atlanta, and the next I could be scrubbing the toilet. So it's all hands on deck.
Well, can you tell us about some of the artists here in Chattanooga, Mark, Lakey, with whom you work?
Yes, I work with, like, for example, Kevin Bate, who is the local muralist that's doing the mural on Macaulay for the fallen, and we implement his website and offer prints through his website, and so we do all the white label work for Kevin. Super nice guy. I get inspired when I see artists that take on bigger than life jobs. That it inspires me. I'm not ashamed to admit that. My business is to help them, but truthfully, in the grand scheme of, this relationship, we end up helping each other equally. And sometimes, from an inspirational standpoint, I'm the greater benefactor.
Are all the artists you work with, Mark, in the second dimension, or are there any who do sculpting or 3D projects?
Some. We don't. We're primarily two-dimensional because sculpted work is not easy to reproduce except for a 3D printer, and 3D printing technology has not gotten to where the average public thinks it probably is. It still has a ways to go for a sculpted work to be reproduced properly, but who knows? We may get into that more as we speak. We do photograph 3D work for artists for their websites. So yes, we do help, but yeah, 2D is our primary business. What
are some areas or niches that you've slowly gotten into that are serving more people in the South? How have you expanded your range of services, and maybe you could give some examples?
We just made a huge investment in flatbed printing, and so we're growing our market based on what the customer wants and what they expect and what they're asking for. So we're doing, prints on metal, aluminum, acrylic, glass, mirror. So we're printing directly to those substrates now, which gives our customers the ability to basically dream whatever they want to dream. And our investment also allows us to print pretty much any size that the customer needs. So,
well, how big would that be?
Huge. So if we did it in pieces, we could cover the side of a building. So, but generally speaking, in one print, 60 inches wide by 30 feet long. So yes, it's.
Well, have you had any orders for something that large?
A couple.
What do they depict?
Mostly commercial, typically photography. When we're doing a commercial account, I've done one or two logos that large, but generally speaking, it's for photography, and it's for a corporate feel. Typically a corporation will want a calming, relaxing, welcoming feel in their entry or their boardroom. And so we'll help them implement that.
And so you print, in the case of that foyer of the corporate office, you say there's a scene. So what did you print it on, and how did you mount it on the wall? It wasn't printed on the wall directly, obviously, but was it glued on there or taped on there, or is it just placed on there because you printed on something stiff?
Yes, we can. On some cases, we printed on canvas, and we'll stretch them on a stretcher bar and mount them to the wall that way. We've done, like, for example, in Aztec Corporation off of Rossville Boulevard, we've done several what's called a phototext print, where we'll print on a removable adhesive and cover a wall with, and what Aztec likes to show is, their equipment and operation around the world. And so we'll help them you know,
That's portable concrete plants, road building equipment, and the like.
That's exactly
Very,
right.
very heavy machinery.
Very amazing company.
Very large.
Very, very large. Much larger than the average Chattanoogan realizes. It's a huge corporation with ties to the military. You know, most of the roads in Afghanistan are being built by Aztec equipment.
And have there been any military type scenes that you've processed for the company?
No, not yet.
All domestic, civilian roads and the like, right?
That's correct. Yes, because they are at this point, you know, multinational in themselves.
Well, what happens when work piles up and you can't get to it promptly, Mark? How do you find people to help you?
Are you trying to pin me down or something? Well, we're small business, so we'll work way into the wee hours of the evening if we have to. It's like I said, all hands on deck. So it's, you know, it's not uncommon for us to work 12, 14 hours a day.
My listener would like to know about when you need help in a pinch. Do you have the idea that maybe internships or apprenticeships would be useful, helping someone to learn your business so that they can, you know, eventually be a part of it, but also you're trying to help people out, young folks who want to find their way in the art world. What about apprenticeships? Can someone learn your business, Mark Lakey?
Yes, I have had a few apprentices, or I've mentored seniors in college through their last year, and that's a very enjoyable thing for me to do, because generally speaking, they're in an artist-minded career, whether it be photography or painting or something, and I love to get them into Art Warehouse to show them where the real world meets the creative world, and give them some tools and skills to hopefully be successful when they graduate.
So if my listener has an 18-year-old daughter, let's say at Lee University, interested in the arts, that young woman could possibly to be in an art world where there's a business connection, she could apply to you for an internship or an apprenticeship.
Correct.
You're suggesting.
And generally speaking, my approval is based on an interview, and so if I think that I can help or they would be a good fit, then yes, I will allow it to happen.
But of course, you want that person has to be really working for you. It's not just a warm body absorbing things. That's a warm body whose hands are busy getting orders together and meeting deadlines, right?
Well, I would want them to want that. Yeah, I'm here to mentor them, but yeah, I mean, truthfully, I would want that coming into the relationship. I would want them to have that desire of, I'll do anything to learn.
Is Art Warehouse profitable?
Yes. Very.
Now, you've been in the field for 15 years. That's when you started Art Warehouse, and it went open to the public 8 years ago.
Correct.
How long did it take you to reach profitability, when you could actually make a living off of your revenues, Mark?
And I'll have to give you the short version. So what we'll do is, when we started 15 years ago, we were wholesale only. We did all the same things we do now, but for the trade. In other words, when you walked into a subdivision in Denver, Colorado, and it looked like someone lived there, we were the company that made it look like someone lived there. Well, you know, you and I both know what happened, you know, about 8 years ago when the economy crashed, housing market dumped, and we were left holding the bag. We were not diversified at that point. And so we basically had to reinvent ourselves, diversify. So I changed our business plan, and that's when we became open to the public.
Now, are there artists whose live original works are in the warehouse as well?
Some. We don't run Art Warehouse as a gallery. We support local galleries. And so, yes, we'll typically show off some work, but typically we try to refer any business art purchases back to the artist or to the gallery.
But there are in the front, I'm trying to remember now what I saw when I came to see you. There are things that come in the front window that are original works.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes, they can. You know, the public can buy photography and art that we have, and 99.9% of all of that is local. It's representing someone local.
A big late question: is there a difference between photography and digital imaging?
That's a philosophical question.
You have a minute.
Okay, it's photography in and of itself. The definition is the capture or the recording of light, whether it be chemically or digitally. So, truthfully, no, there's not. It doesn't matter how you capture light. You capture light with your eyes. So that would be
But on film, Mark Lakey, which you learned as a young artist, there's a commitment made on the film that can't be changed. Whereas in the digital form, there's constant total manipulation that's possible. Right? The constant redefining, re-editing the image.
You are correct.
And you're limited with film.
You're very limited.
Is film more genuine?
Not necessarily. Film can be manipulated in the darkroom, and I've proven it. And most old photographers like me know it's true.
Yeah, but it's very, very limited. It's very much on the margins, Mark Lakey, I think.
There's some tricks in the darkroom, but yes, you're right. Digitally, the door's been open to creativity.
Well, if my listener's daughter needs a phone number, what can he pass on to her, please, Mark?
423-697-1823.
Mark Lakey, thanks for joining my listener me here at the David Tulis Show, Nuganomics.com, our prime sponsor.
Thank you, David.
Mark Lakey runs Art Warehouse on Brainerd Road, a place where artists find fulfillment. This is David Tulis. I've got some things I want you to hear. Just hang on. Listen in.